and welcome to On the Record. We're coming to you from on location in Freeport, Grand Bahama. In May of last year, the office of the Prime Minister here in Grand Bahama was mandated to focus on the development of Freeport as an offshore technology hub, similar to that of Silicon Valley. A year ago, a call went out to local and international industry stakeholders to connect, explore, and invest, and thus the Grand Bahama Technology Summit came into being. It's designed to establish the technology industry to become that third pillar of the economy, similar to tourism and financial services. A year ago, On the Record was happy to come to Grand Bahama for the very first technology summit. We were very pleased and excited about what we saw, and we're back a year later. We're here now to look at the progress that's been made, as well as what still needs to be done, and of course try to understand how all of us can benefit from a technology hub in the nation's second city. I call it the second interface, the Grand Bahama Technology Summit a year later. Happy to be here, and also happy to talk about what is happening this time around. My guest for this segment of the show is Greg Wood. He's the CEO of GIBC Digital, a title sponsor of this event. Very happy to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
Also joining us, Jose Pablo Esquivel. He is the technical manager of Cisco Networking Academy. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Excellent.
Oh, good. My Spanish teacher would be happy. Glad you could make it. Gentlemen, so happy to have you with us here on the record. We're always happy to come to Grand Bahama because, you know, for me, this is always a city that holds so much promise and so much hope. So I'm going to really talk about first of all, why you're here and why you thought it important to be a part of something like this.
I think this is an important initiative for Grand Bahamas. I think it brings some focused attention on what's being done here and the progress that's been made already. We have invested quite a bit here since coming here in June of this year, and we will continue to make investments in helping Grand Bahama become the tech hub that the government has envisioned.
It would seem almost easier to go to a place like New Providence that has the larger population, a little more infrastructure, a lot going on. Why Grand Bahama?
I think this is where the opportunity is. I think in part because of the government initiative. There's also a great infrastructure already here, and we just thought that this is the right place to go. There are people here who are really hungry for opportunities to be a part of the global digital community, and so we wanted to bring our office here and get to work.
We're certainly going to talk about how things have been going since you opened that office earlier this year. Cisco is on the ground here as well, doing some wonderful things. Why was it important for you guys to be here as well?
Well, it's very important. I work for the corporate social responsibility of Cisco for the region, for Latin America, for the Caribbean. So I think it's important because in order to do that, in order to become a Silicon Island, you need people. You need the people with the right skills, you need the people with the knowledge so that they can actually be part of that of that system. So there's where Cisco, and we have for 20 years a program to bring education into the educational institutions in the country so that then they can actually start training people with those technologies and then get into the market, you know, get the jobs and be ready for all that transformation and digital transformation that we need.
We are a country that's benefited from tourism for as long as most of us can remember. We have been comfortable in that spot. This is something that is very new. Even to have this discussion when you talk about technology, I mean, you look around, we're an island nation of sun, sand, and sea. And it's also people say, well, you know, why would the Bahamas be an ideal place for something like this, to become a technology hub?
Well, I think in many ways it's a gateway to the rest of the Caribbean. So I think that's important, but it's also proximity to the U.S., so you can service those markets as well. So for us, it made a lot of sense. From that perspective, it's centrally located. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
GIBC, since last year's conference, you were among the first to benefit from the government's Commercial Enterprise Act, having opened, as you mentioned, your Freeport office in June, and that's even expanded international, correct? Right. What has been, first of all, how were you able to make that happen? Because from November to June seems almost like a short space of time, but how were you able to make that happen?
focused effort, but also assistance from a government that understands the importance of having investors come in and be part of what's going on here. The government can't do it alone, private enterprise can't do it alone, but when you have government and private sector working together, you can do a lot, and it doesn't take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. And you sought to even expand since then into Nassau.
We've seen a lot of indications of interest from businesses in Nassau. Government is also in Nassau, and we think that we can help both go through the process of digital transformation.
Mm-hmm. You represent the corporate social responsibility arm of Cisco. You're here to do something a little different and a little more, a little different. But I want to talk a little bit more about why you sought to be a part of what this government is hoping to do.
Exactly. So first of all, yesterday we started with MOU,
Mm-hmm.
and that's an important agreement that Cisco signed during the open session with the government, and that will benefit the whole Bahamas, not only as part of this project, and this started over here, but we are working to serve the whole country. So with that, what we try to bring into the table is that the Minister of Education will start looking at schools, at vocational schools, where we can bring our program there, so that students can get education that is the same type of education that any student anywhere else in the world will take. Like this is the same program that we use to train people in Europe, to train people in the US, to train people in all over Latin America. So I think with that, we will upskill the skills of the people so that you get ready for this transformation that you are looking.
That's always a key concern, and that's been a part of this discussion since we were here last year. Are our people ready to embrace the opportunity? Because having an opportunity is one thing, but being prepared for the opportunity is something else. And that, I guess that's really where I'm going next. But are we really prepared and getting ready for the opportunities that these folks and others are bringing?
Exactly. So that's why our program starts with the students since they are in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, what we try to do is to bring more people interest in technology. So by starting with the high schools, and with this agreement, we will start with the first 100 high schools to take the program with the basic courses. So they get a little bit of cybersecurity, a little bit about networking, a little bit about Internet of Things. That are some of these technologies that are now on the spot. And with that, we will bring more people interest into continue their higher education into networking, into the different areas of IT. So that's a way to get people ready, by starting as the beginning as possible.
And that, of course, will come to my question to you. You've opened the office and you started hiring, which obviously is something that is well needed in an economy like this. So when folks are showing up and applying and you're hiring, are they ready? Or are you looking now at how are we going to train and get more people ready for the opportunities, even for growth for your company?
Right, so first and foremost, we look for people who are smart and motivated, and there are plenty of those here in Grand Bahama. But we have trained the people that we have hired.
So you are providing the training?
We're providing the training. So
Mm-hmm.
I think longer term, you need to continue to invest in the skill upgrade that needs to take place. I think also maybe a way to create the tech hub is to bring in people who already have those skills through immigration. So change in policies to facilitate that, to encourage innovators to come here. There are ways that you can do that through policy, and you have to continue to attract investors who are willing to invest in the Bahamian people, in the local infrastructure in Grand Bahama, and work with government to achieve the goals.
Good point, gents. We're at the point of our first break in the show. Lots more to talk about. Stay with us. On the Record continues. We're coming to you from the Grand Bahama Technology Summit. We'll be back right after this.
On the Record is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
McKees, we've had a few dark or dead spots. Basically, there was no service. They were just dark spots. We would basically be dead ship out in the cold without any communication. And it's been like that for years, and we've gotten used to it. But Alive has now provided us with a service which we can stay communicated during our entire voyages. And I've been waiting for Alive to bring their service up to full more coverage throughout the Bahamas, which they've done in an amazing amount of time. So yeah, I would encourage them all to get that service. It's an awesome service, no interruptions, and it's awesome.
Be right back.
Cash is a ring. Are you listening? In the eye, it's all glistening. A beautiful sight. The savings so right. Shopping in a Kelly's Wonderland. Savings are right for you too. Garland, lights, ornaments. If it's Christmas, you're saving. So don't delay, because some people might go overboard. Honey, Kelly's, everything you've always wanted for less.
Welcome back to On the Record. We are on location at the Grand Bahama Technology Summit, now into its second year. We are a country that has traditionally relied on tourism and financial services to really bolster our economy. But since last year, there has been an ongoing discussion and even some progress on making Grand Bahama the technology hub of the Bahamas. We are here to explore whether that can happen, whether it is happening, and certainly how Bahamians can benefit from what the government sees as the next pillar of the economy. We are people who, by all means, are really stuck in our ways. And, you know, I always say that we always want change until change starts to happen. How do we, and this is from a Bahamian perspective, how do we begin now to change the mindset of our people to think beyond just getting a job in a hotel, or getting some tourism job, or getting something in financial services, or doing something, things that are comfortable and traditional for us. You know, I'm of that generation. I'm going to give something away. I'm of that 40-plus generation. You know, we were sort of on the cusp of technology. I mean, when I started in this field, we went to the library, you know, to do research. Now it's, you know, in the palm of your hand. When you say technology, that frightens a lot of folks. Not young people, but that generation who has seen it come about, but we're struggling to keep up. And so for us, it's a little scary at times when you talk about an industry of technology or getting a job that's technology based. And how do you begin to remove that fear and get people to even embrace what could be?
I think it's educating people. I think that's a big part of it. It's helping them understand what the opportunities are. Learning to embrace technology is such an important part of every society and how we go forward. There's no going back, and those societies who don't will continue to fall further and further behind. So it's going to take time, but I think it's an investment worth making. But it's companies coming in, creating opportunities. That's the key.
For those of us who have no idea what your company does,
yes.
Tell us about the investment you made and what you do here. And really, are there any real benefits to the economy?
Yeah, so we hire and train local people to do local and regional work. But the work we do is, if you look at organizations, modern organizations, they have a few things in common. It's people, processes, IT systems, data, regulatory requirements, and customers. And we look at those areas across an organization, understand how they can work better together. And then we apply our competencies in data intelligence, cybersecurity, automation and process engineering, and regulation compliance to create a better way for those organizations to go forward in the world we live in. So,
awesome. Jose, Cisco is offering some workshops, even within this summit itself, to certify some people in some proficiencies. I want to talk about those workshops and what you're offering and how people are benefiting.
Exactly. So we're doing some workshops at the afternoon with a group of attendees. We have a mixture of teachers and students that are interested in programming and networking. So what we are doing is we are having some activities so that they can start working with Python, that is a programming language. So they start doing some small scripts to interact with platforms, with our communication platform, and also with a networking platform, so that they can start getting to used to do some programming, some networking, and also apply that to other areas like cybersecurity or data automation or any other area that is related to technology. So with these workshops, at the end of the workshop, they will actually get a certificate, and with that, the instructors that are there will also be able to replicate this to their students as part of their learning program. So that's how we start. You know, we start by partnerships. The way we get to the students is through the institutions that sign an agreement with us. That is a free agreement because this is a corporate social responsibility initiative. And then with that, they can start training people and getting them ready for certifications. That again is a way to attract more investors. You know, if you want to attract investors, if you have certified people in the country, then the company will say, well, I can go there and I can find people that are certified, that are ready to start working on jobs.
So that's an important point, certifying and training and getting the people ready even before the investors. And I think we talked about that, you know, creating the right environment for investors. And I've got to ask, what was it, or back up a bit, Grand Bahama's economy has really struggled for a while. What was it like getting started in an economy like this when I'm sure people were so eager for something and not being sure even what it is they were getting? I had to ask you what it is that you guys were doing. But, you know, people are hungry. They want the work. They want the jobs. But, you know, were they ready? What was it like getting started in this economy?
Well, in some ways it's challenging, but the jobs were needed, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to be here. We think that we can have a big impact here and help kickstart the development of the Tech Hub. But it was easy to find talented people here. And then it's just a matter of providing the right training. And because jobs are in short supply, we were able to choose from the best of the best. And so we have benefited by getting started early. Over the longer run, I expect to see people in our organization do their own thing. We want people to be entrepreneurial.
That's interesting.
Yeah, either within the organization or to go out on their own, and we support them, and that's a very important part of what we do.
So you would welcome those who come in and benefit from the knowledge and training and to go out and do their own thing?
Yes.
And why?
We think there are always opportunities to collaborate. And so, particularly when people go out on their own and start their own business, we are very supportive of that. I've always been an entrepreneur, and so I think that collaboration is an important way for businesses to think about what they do and how they do it, and to move away from competition and start to think about the synergies that they can create with partners. That's
a bit of a paradigm shift. A lot of companies don't think like that. You know, they hire, they train to keep them, but you know, you encourage to collaborate as opposed to competition. Both of you have mentioned something that's very important. The more reliant we become on technology, it seems the more vulnerable we become to cyber attacks and issues of security and security protection. And we talk about, you know, creating this technology hub, but you know, I always worry about how vulnerable we are becoming to these attacks and to people, you know, stealing information. You know, you literally can bring a company to its knees with, you know, infiltration into their systems. And so how important is even that cyber protection and security? How important is that discussion when we're having this whole discussion about, you know, bringing technology here? But once you bring it, you've got to protect it.
Absolutely. I mean, cybersecurity is something every organization has to be concerned about. We have what we call a TRI methodology. We want to understand the threats, assess the risk, and try to understand what the impact will be if there's a breach. But we believe that there are ways that if you do that well, you can minimize the threats you face and the risk to the organization. So a lot of it is educating your workforce, helping them understand where these threats and risks are within the organization.
Jose, I've got to get you in on that discussion. I mean, how important is that to the training?
So actually there's like two steps. One step is you as a user of the technology, you need to understand what are some of the risks, how you can actually manage securely your accounts, your access to your systems that you have, even a banking system that you access, or the way you access to the internet. You know, if you are connected to a public interface or to a public internet provider, or you are connected in your home, or in on the office. So part of it is also the training of all the people that work for private organizations, for the government, and that's why it's important to train them and to be ready and to be prepared for the importance of cybersecurity and the information that they have, and how to securely work and participate in all access to that information that you have access to. So that's one point. The other point is to prepare people to be ready to participate and to be part of the cybersecurity team inside the organizations. Any organization that now have an IT infrastructure needs to be and to have a policy and to have an understanding of the importance of cybersecurity for the business to continue, because now every business rely on technology. So if you have a business that is affected by a cyber attack, that might affect your customers, that might affect the image of your company, and that's why it's very important to have people that have the right skills to be able to work on those opportunities. And that's part of the program. Part of the idea is to start with early users as an end user. So we have a very basic course that you can actually take online. It's free of charge, and it's open. And the idea of this is that community can access that course to start understanding the importance of cybersecurity. Then as you go on the career and then you go into more in-depth knowledge, then you can go to the next step, that is actually a cyber essentials course, or even a more certified called like the CCNA CyberOps. That is the latest course that we have on the area of cybersecurity, so that you can actually get trained and get ready for jobs on cybersecurity.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming and spending this time with us. I have to tell you, I always joke with my team that I'm really technologically challenged. So I appreciate these kinds of discussions, because for the lay ordinary people, this is important for us to understand, what you are attempting to do here. Certainly, GIBC, we wish you all the best, and hopefully when we come back next year, you can tell us you've doubled the size of what you're doing now. Thank you, and certainly Cisco, I'm sure the folks here welcome you and are looking forward to the training opportunities that you will bring.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us. Our On the Record from Grand Bahama Technology Summit Year 2 continues right after this break.
Hi, I'm here to tell you about the fastest way to purchase the vehicle you want right from home. With SBT Japan, we import used cars from Japan straight to you. Car ownership doesn't have to be hard. Go to sbtjapan.com and sign up for free. Search for the car you want, place your order, and make a payment using any one of our convenient payment options. Once you pay the duty and tax to our in-house broker, we will clear the vehicle and even deliver it straight to your home. Sounds too easy? Well, shouldn't it be?
Are you afraid to swipe your card and you don't like to carry cash? If so, you need checks. Executive Printers can make checks for all your needs. They have laser checks, personal checks, continuous checks, and more. All checks have up to 15 security features, so you know you'll be protected. You can even customize your checks. Come and see one of our experts today, or log on to epbahamas.com for more info.
This portion of On the Record is brought to you by Generali Insurance Company Limited, your employee benefits specialists.
And we are back on location in Grand Bahama. I'm calling it the second interface. We're back for another year at the Grand Bahama Technology Summit. Very happy to have as my guest in this portion of the show, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson. He's the Minister of State for Grand Bahama. Welcome back. This is your third time with us. You're becoming a regular fixture.
I just want to thank you. Y'all keep inviting me.
Yeah. And you keep saying yes.
I keep coming. So,
Okay, sir.
no, but thank you. Welcome again to Grand Bahama, and to be a part of this technology summit again is something special.
I am always happy to be in Grand Bahama and certainly happy to be back. Also joining me, Anthony Ramtula. He is a member of the Grand Bahama Technology Hub Steering Committee as well as head of BTVI's IT department. So welcome to On the Record.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you could be here. Minister, I'm going to start with you. I'm sure you get this all the time, but why was it important for you to do this a second year?
Yes.
We talked a lot the first year that the expectations were very high.
Yes.
So now we're back.
Yes.
Why was it important for you to have this summit 1 year later? And have you been able to meet those expectations that you set last year?
Yeah. Yes, I think we had to have it a second year because the main focus again is to highlight Grand Bahama. And this year is bigger and better than it was last year. Last year, the concept was introduced, and overwhelmingly the concept was accepted that this is something that the government should be doing, it is something Grand Bahama should be doing. And we did meet those expectations of what we wanted to achieve from last year to this year. We have had the committee started. The committee has met and has actually put in place the Technology Hub strategy and plan. That plan was produced to the Cabinet. It was accepted by the Cabinet. There were two key points in that plan that were presented. One was for us to have the venture conference with blockchain and cryptocurrency. We did that. That was done. It was also successful. Another plan that they had put forward was for us to also have the BH-1B visa to be more attractive to technology companies. And as the Prime Minister indicated yesterday, the draft legislation is before us now to approve that. And so those were two big things that we have achieved. With respect to education, we also have made some good strides with respect to that. BTVI is free, and thankfully to Mr. Ramtula, they've been able to put in place a summer IT program that has exposed 150 young people to the tech certifications. We also this summit signed the MOU with Cisco, again an important step with respect to education and tech. We can be doing some things with the YMCA, with coding. Our schools are actively involved. We have the company GIBC, who has hired 30 Bahamians, and they've been very, very important in sponsoring, the title sponsor of the summit. So from last year to this year, we have set some goals, and we've achieved some of those goals. But there is so much more to do. We are really at just the beginning of where we want to be. And so while we say, yes, we've made some progress, we are nowhere near where we need to be.
I'm happy you admitted that, because certainly that was my next question. I mean, GIBC, I think, was that sort of glimmer of hope that something, was happening or is happening. And the education is always very important, because I'm a firm believer that in order to progress, we've got to educate our people. And I think that's across the board, not just in technology. I wish, what was happening here, we could replicate across the Bahamas and begin to retrain and teach her, but that's another show. But it's almost as if you sort of thrown that pebble into the sea and you've got a vast ocean.
Oh, absolutely.
And so people are sitting and saying, okay, I see where you started, but has that impacted the economy? Have people really felt anything since last year?
But the point is, and I like your analogy. It is a pebble. It has made ripples. But what that vast ocean showed us is that there is great potential for us to achieve. And we don't look at it as you've only gotten a pebble, but we look at it as, look at what we could do. and the fact that you are actually on the road to doing that is important. You are starting a new industry in the Bahamas. The new industry is not going to come overnight. You are not going to wake up one morning and see 2,000 people employed in the technology industry. There are some groundworks that you have to do, and that's the hard work. That's the stuff that's underneath the ground. That's the stuff that, in terms of tilling the ground, to be able, before you even see the seed and before you even see the bud coming out of the seed. But it has to be done. But we are encouraged by what we see. We are encouraged by those companies like Dell, like Cisco, like CompTIA, like VMware, who have come to Grand Bahama. They would not have come to Grand Bahama if they didn't see potential or if they didn't see a reason for us coming. And the educational side of it, we cannot just sort of gloss over that, because that's the reason why tech companies would come. It's because we have the human capacity to fill their needs. And so we have to be able to build that. We have to be able to show them that you do have enough people here in the Bahamas and enough people in Grand Bahama to fulfill a need that they have. They're not just going to come because of the sun, sand, and sea, but they're going to come because it's easy to do business. They're going to come because you have the employment. They come because you have the talent. And so that's what we are building. And as I said, you know, this is not a just a one-stop shop and that's it. But this is going to be an ongoing process, and we are glad that it has started in Grand Bahama.
Anthony Ramtula, you know, Minister and I, we'll have our own, we'll be sitting here talking forever. But what you represent to me is very important, because I'm a firm believer in education, no matter what it is that you are doing. And I want to talk about the work that BTVI is doing here on the island. I mean, we would have just heard from Cisco and what they're doing, the MOU sign, and how important that is. But really, from your perspective, how is BTVI now attempting to bridge that gap between what could happen and where we are right now?
Okay, well, at BTVI, we realized that we have to think globally. And
could you repeat that?
We have to think globally.
I just want all the people in the Bahamas to hear that sometimes, because we're very provincial sometimes in our thinking, but go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
Right. So in the IT department, we decided that, look, we are going to adopt the international standards. And so everything that we do from the IT perspective at BTVI is backed by some international standard. And so we have our CompTIA and we have our Cisco partners. So there's a saying that you can feed a man, he eat for a day. You teach him how to fish, teach him how to work, then he'll feed himself. Well, at BTVI and with the help of the government, we plan to change the mindset, the culture. So it's not just about the come here, we'll show you what this is, how it works, and what have you. It's kind of sort of an indoctrination, so you can see all the different possibilities that are open to you. And while we use the word technology, it's almost like going to the gym. We're trying to let the young people understand all the possibilities that they have. So we are actually giving them the start. So at BTVI, we have a very simple, and especially with the minister, this program that we have, a very, very simple plan. In 2 years, we have our a 2-year degree program. 1 year at some of our partner universities in the States, you have your bachelor's degree. With the initiative from the Prime Minister and the Minister of Grand Bahama, we have stepped back into the high school. So we have a plan right now. Grade 9, 10, 11, 12. After grade 12, you're fully employable, because you will have between 6 and 9 international certifications. And
so kids will come out of high school ready.
Yes, and I believe in this program. My son was one of the ICT students. He has his first international certification, and these kids are exciting. And what this program did was it proved to the rest of the world, the Caribbean especially, that look, we're smart. We can write programs. We're building websites. You have these little kids, they're budding entrepreneurs right away. So we have planted the seed. So we have more work to do, but once you have planted the seed, it's, you know, it's a path and you will have fruit.
Yesterday, I was intrigued to see the amount of high school students walking around in the conference hall and, you know, looking at the exhibits. I'm always frustrated when people ask me to come to job fairs, and, you know, and I always say, I mean this in the nicest possible way. Kids are always drawn to the table that has the, you know, where the police are set up, or the defense force, or the nurses, or you know, hotels. And not that these are not good jobs and noble professions, but I'm always frustrated because it doesn't seem that we're exposing our kids to more possibilities.
You know, if I may,
Sure.
You actually hit something that's very important, because even in the police, the nurse, you will have technology.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Prime Minister indicated it yesterday, the use of the technology, the shot spotter, and the use of the drones and so on in the police force. But going to Mr. Ramtula's point, people underestimate the importance of that BTBI program and the potential of that BTBI program. Those 9th graders who completed that first summer got a certification that they now can actually set up a small entrepreneur website business. And that's after the 9th grade. Once they've completed, gone through the 10th, 11th, and 12th, as Mr. Ramtula said, they will have certifications to where they are now employable in that area. Certifications that other persons would have had to take 6 months or a year or 18 months to be able to complete. And they will have it at the end of their high school. So imagine we've started off with 150. Imagine in the next 2-3 years, we could have almost 1,000 of these students who are coming out of high school with all of these certifications. And it isn't that they're going to work in a tech business. They may go into the police force. They may be a nurse. They may be a doctor. But what it does is it adds value, and it adds in more employability for them.
To say they're now more employable.
Absolutely.
Because they have
so
the skills.
This program, you know, and we want to thank Mr. Ramtula, because it was a concept that came from the Prime Minister, but it was immediately developed by Mr. Ramtula and those folks at BTBI.
Mr. Ramtula, I have to ask you, are you able, or will you be able to sort of track where these students go or what they're doing upon completion of the program? Because, you know, it's great to be trained and it's great to be certified, but when you walk out of those doors, you know, the reality now is something different. And how are we going to be able to measure where these students go, how successful they are, whether this is paying off? You could have all the training in the world, but if you can't find a job, or you're not working, you know, in that field or putting it to use, then it's all for naught.
Yeah, well, so just like any other community college, we actually have a department that deals with that. That's their job. Mm-hmm. And so the Prime Minister could be able to tell you that we have 100% employability. In fact, we're a victim of our own success. So this young fella comes in, he signs up for a degree program. After 6 months, he's A+ certified. He's able to get a job. So he leaves school.
He don't finish.
He don't finish. Now, with the incentives that the government is offering, and because of our push for technology, we're offering more blended and online courses. But there's no excuse to give up school to do your job. So we have invested a lot in technology. We are using all kinds of technologies, and we have some wonderful partners, especially Cisco, and we keep very good records. And our students, they don't exactly leave us completely. We have a relationship with them from they enter into our program until perhaps they finish their bachelor's degree. You know, a lot of people don't understand it at BTVI. With this global perspective, we have a team that constantly goes out, go to universities, conferences, we learn what's out there, we make the connection, and then we guide our students. So we can't just leave them when they finish. So right now, we have plenty of students in Canada. So at one point, BTVI, you came there, you finished, you're gone. But now, when you come to BTVI, yes, you're going to finish our program, but we're guiding you into the next level. And our partners, the people, BTC, Cable Bahamas, and the government, they help us. You know, we at BTVI, we're not making magic. So we have a program advisory committee. And on that committee, we have the movers and shakers in the industry that guide what we're doing. So everything that we're doing must be relevant to the country and then must meet our international standards.
Fantastic. Good to know. Gentlemen, we got to take another break. Stay with us. On the Record continues on location from Grand Bahama. We're here at the second Technology Summit. Stay with us. We're back right after this.
In the past, I've had a lot of issues with service, data service, drop calls. I was encouraged by a very close friend of mine to make the switch, and in doing so, my service has been impeccable. The data is very fast, it doesn't spool, it doesn't take long to load, so everything works beautifully. I like to know what my bills are, and it's important that I'm able to simply just pick up my phone and know what my bill is. The front line for the Valley Boys is comprised of about 200 members. It's very important because to be a successful leader, I need to be able to efficiently and consistently communicate with them. It works that way. It's beautiful. The data that you guys provide is flawless. I'm John Williams, and I believe in best.
Hi, I'm here to tell you about the fastest way to purchase the vehicle you want right from home. With SBT Japan, we import used cars from Japan straight to you. Car ownership doesn't have to be hard. Go to sbtjapan.com and sign up for free. Search for the car you want, place your order, and make a payment using any one of our convenient payment options. Once you pay the duty and tax to our in-house broker, we will clear the vehicle and even deliver it straight to your home. Sounds too easy? Well, shouldn't it be?
Welcome back. We are on location at the Grand Bahama Technology Summit. We're talking technology as well as how this idea of a technology hub fits into the economy of Grand Bahama. It's no secret this island has struggled to keep afloat over the past decades. And since last year, there has been a lot of discussion and some movement about doing something that will hopefully really reinvigorate the city. I remind people of the days when it was referred to as the Magic City, and there was a reason for that. Anthony Ramtula is my guest. He's a member of the Grand Bahama Technology Hub Steering Committee as well as head of BTVI's IT department. Also, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, Minister of State for Grand Bahama. Mr. Ramtula, the Grand Bahama Technology Hub Steering Committee held several working meetings and set some recommendations to the government earlier this year in relation to the blockchain and cryptocurrency and what that means. That is something that's bandied about and talked about so much and really is the next big thing, I call it. But really, for the average Bahamian who has no clue what that is, but we hear so much about it, where is the future of that for us? What is our stake in that? How can Bahamians benefit from it and get involved?
Well, it depends on the application.
Sure.
You have many different applications. So I'll give you one example. At our institution, we're considering to use the blockchain for our certificate. What does this mean? It means that after you get issued your diploma, then you won't have that long wait period if you need another copy of it to come and get a verifiable, verified copy from the institution. So you have the length of time that you keep records before you archive them. We don't have to worry about that and all that, because it's a tool. And how you use the tool, you'll see the results. So from the educational standpoint, from the academic standpoint, we're not really pushing the cryptocurrency and the mining. We are looking at the applications, how you use the technology, and to introduce the students, to let them know that it exists, how to use it, and how to protect people by using it.
I think you have to look at it from the point of view of financial services. So if you look at our financial services sector, it was really built upon an aspect that we could manage, keep, invest people's money. Money is changing now. Money is becoming digital. And this whole aspect of cryptocurrency really is going to be come to our shores whether we like it or not. And for Bahamians, I think they have to see it in two ways. Some might see it on the investment side, which might be more of the riskier side of it.
That's the part we hear about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so obviously there are caution signs with respect to that side of it. But there's another aspect of it, which is the industry side, and whether, if persons are going to be doing this, whether the Bahamas could be a space, a regulated space for them to be doing it, because you have a lot of unregulated operation of this, which the Bahamas does not want. But I think what the central bank recently put out as a potential framework is a good starting point, which basically sets it into categories. It sets it in terms of who is going to be the regulators for it. It also sets a standard that says we want to be the gold standard in this, similar to how we are with respect to financial services. We want to comply with all international regulations with respect to this. We want to approach it cautiously. We do want to be competitive in it, but we want to approach it cautiously. And so it gives recommendations on some legislative changes, some policy frameworks. I invite people to go and take a look at it if they're interested, to also comment on it, because it's open for discussion. But look at it in the viewpoint that this could be another industry that can employ Bahamians. The similar fashion that financial services also is a place that has been able to employ Bahamians. So it's a space that we can operate in, and we can be, I think, competitive in it.
I want to talk really now about future. Obviously, we've talked about all of the work we have done at the very basic level to begin now to grow this industry. And undeniably, you've been doing some things that are moving us in the right direction. My concern always is people, because you can put in the greatest training methods and apparatus, and are our people ready to keep pace with what is coming? Are we in that right mindset and prepared to do and to move into this area? I mean, we talked about all the possibilities. Being proficient in IT can open so many doors, even in the traditional industries and traditional lines of work. But are our people really ready? And that's always a key concern for me. I'm talking now from an academic standpoint.
Well, it's hard to say if people are ready, but we know that Bahamians are into technology, and all we could do, we have to set up the framework and the infrastructure to make the information available. The programs, the conferences, the seminars, and the town meetings, it's all about educating the population on what it is. So right away, one big plus of the crypto conference was, hey, look, there are a lot of scammers out there. Beware. That's information that was not necessarily available because everybody looking at a Bitcoin. Today is 12,000 to $1 and so you have all these little guys say, oh, I'm starting up my own currency, come and invest and what have you. So our role is educating people so that they can make, there's always risk in any decision that you make, but if you have information, then you could weigh the pros and the cons and make a good decision.
Glad to hear that. You asked about the future, which is a very important question. Education is a part of it. Prime Minister also said yesterday that our summer job program is going to change. And that's as a result of the BTBI program. It's going to have more of an aspect with respect to training. He indicated that instead of the model where we just send them to do maybe menial jobs and
I have been in companies where that has been a serious challenge. You just have these kids show up and they're just there for a couple of weeks and you just sort of try and keep them out of trouble for the time that they're there.
What we're going to do now is, and it's going to be, we're going to use the institutions to help us design it, but they're going to be trained. And he also mentioned yesterday that they will also be tutors and be paid to be tutors during the summer. And so the summer job program, as he indicated, is going to shift. That's part of the future. Part of the future also is going to be in putting together a structured skills plan, which means going out, finding out other aspects of technology that we don't have, training that we don't have, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, finding those things out and bringing them to the shores so that we can also broaden our aspect of training. That's being worked on now. eBahamas is also where we are going. The government right now has an online presence of 400 services. That don't mean much because all it means is you can get a form online. We have about 15 services that you can actually get online. Processes. Yeah. What we are working on now is to be able to expand that, and that's where the future is with respect to doing government and doing business, where you shouldn't need to go to every government office and produce the same documents to every government office.
5 times.
It should be where we are able to do it digitally and the same information is shared between each one of the agencies. Once I prove that I'm a citizen at the passport office, why should I need to prove that I'm a citizen at health or the police or national insurance? So it is really about looking at how we use digital transformation to make our lives better. That's also a part of what the government is working on.
I am so looking forward to that day. Minister, I can't bring you in. I'll ask you some things now.
Sure,
we've talked about that. So we are literally sitting in Manor House of the Grand Lucayan. Since we were here last year, a lot has happened. Government has purchased this on the premise to keep it open. It has remained open. Since then, there have been discussions about buyers, prospective buyers. How is that process coming along?
So the process, I think, is moving. Again, the Prime Minister made some very important statements yesterday where he indicated that there was high interest. There were approximately about 20 persons who have shown and have put forward written letters of interest or offers. I think he indicated also there's around 7 that have been serious and that are people who the government is really going to look seriously at. That process is now happening. It's being done through the board because the government appointed a board to be able to manage the hotel and also to manage that process of sale. We want to sell and we want to sell as quickly as possible. The idea is to sell it so that somebody who is in the hotel business can manage it, can expand it, can run it, and can bring more employment, bring more development. That's really what
but it's always the fear, though, that, when you're eager to get rid of something, and I use that very lightly, you want to sell. The government has said they're not in the hotel business. The concern is how much are you willing to give up elsewhere? What kinds of concessions? And that's a big thing for Bahamians.
Well, you could judge on why we are here. Judge us on that, because we are here having to buy it because we wouldn't accept some of the things that the previous person who wanted to buy it was asking the government to do. Some things just are unacceptable. And so you could be confident that this government is not going to do some things that is going to put the whole country and put Grand Bahamians at risk. And if it means taking the bold step to buy it ourselves in order to secure it and make sure that this does not turn into another Royal Oasis and make sure that Port Lucaia does not turn into another bazaar, then we will take that bold step to do it. And trust that we will also make the proper decisions when it comes to selling and developing.
Another development, you would have lost a major airlift. How has that impacted the product?
You know,
and what's the plan?
Well, the reality is it hasn't impacted us yet because they had indicated that they were not going to go with their summer program for next year.
Okay.
So we haven't reached there yet. But they have continued their winter service. So at present, Sunwing is operating a winter service from Montreal and also from
What's
Toronto.
going to happen next summer?
What we are doing now is obviously whoever purchases the hotel has to have an airlift plan, has to have an airlift plan for next year. But what we are working on now is the same plan and program that we were paying $4 million to Sunwing for, is the same plan that we are going to utilize Bahamas Air. Because if we're going to pay millions of dollars,
I was going to say, if we're paying someone $4 million, we could say
we might as well use Bahamas Air, who now is putting in place for the summer of next year, putting in place the programs to meet those same markets that Sunwing was going to meet, but it's going to be done through our jet service at Bahamas Air.
So we're looking at expanding Bahamas Air.
Absolutely. But we have to utilize it more. We have to utilize our services at Bahamas Air more to get into those same markets that Sunwing was in. And we saw the model. The model is you were paying an airline to package a deal to bring people to come to Grand Bahama. If we are going to do that, then let's pay our airline to go to those same markets to put together a deal.
Just a caution, Minister, you know, we got to get to Miami and we got to get to Auckland. And you can't fool with them routes now.
It will all, at the end of the day, benefit and seek the benefit. But the idea really is whoever buys must also bring an airlift plan and do to be able to supply Grand Bahama.
Looking forward to it. So next year this time I was hitting the spot. And we're going to recap all of this again.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony Ramtula. Thank you very much for coming on and speaking with us. The work you're doing at BTBI, I really have to say, is encouraging. You know, from the perspective of a Bahamian, and to sit here and to listen to what is happening and the possibilities. That's very heartening, and I look forward to hearing more about it. And certainly, you are to be applauded for that work, and I trust that more people will take advantage of it. Senator Kwesi Thompson, thank you so much, sir, for coming on again. Always good to talk to you. You all have lots of work to do here. You're always on our compass. And so we appreciate any opportunity that we have to come and to talk about the state of Grand Bahama and what's happening. And we certainly continue to hope for the best as it relates. Now, if you all find a buyer for this hotel, make sure to let us know. We'd like to come down and talk with that once it happens.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much as well, gentlemen. Thanks again for coming. That's going to do it for our episode here in Grand Bahama, the Technology Summit. We certainly hope that you have enjoyed it and we've been able to shed some insight into what's happening, but more importantly, what is still needed for this island and certainly for our economy at large. I want to thank my previous guests, as well as my producer, my technical staff, production staff, also the folks who have helped to make this all possible, the organizing committee who has worked so hard to help us get here and to pull this off. So we thank all of you. We appreciate you watching. On behalf of my entire team, thank you so much. I'm Jerome Sawyer. We'll see you next time.